Welcome to the next episode of KapVista Klips. Here with me, we have Shaun Melville from Neo Pharma, who's based in lockdown or quarantine in Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah, unfortunately, quarantining in Ho Chi Minh City at the moment. Our apartment building has been in lockdown for the last couple of days. So a little bit unfortunate, but there are a lot of people doing a lot worse than us at the moment. So we're okay.
Awesome. Shaun is from Neo Pharma, which is a medical device company. And it's Australian. Is it Australian founded?
Yeah, it's an Australian incorporated company, but we have our operations also in Malaysia, and I'm based in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam.
Okay, so it really is a global company, which is an exciting opportunity. So let's get started, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we can get in it. So tell us about Neo Pharma. What does it do, and help us understand the Tamper Lock solution?
Yeah, sure. Well, I suppose just a bit of background on Neo Pharma. We incorporated this company in 2017, and we really identified a technology out of Malaysia that was very interesting for us. The gentleman that founded this particular product, which was at the time TamperLoks, was really to eradicate, I suppose, issues associated with the drugs abuse industry. So he had spent a better part of a decade in the industry and realized there were a lot of loopholes, a lot of issues with the current testing environment in terms of drugs of abuse. And he dedicated the best part of his life to develop a product that would eliminate some of these issues. So he developed it with Serum Laboratories in Malaysia, which is probably the equivalent of the CSIRO in Australia. And really, when we came involved in it, it was really to assist him in terms of the commercialization of this technology. And we sort of came in more away from the actual TamperLoks device, but really with a complete solution, which we developed an enterprise resource management platform that would enable really the tracking and tracing of drug tests, but also the full management of drug testing protocols, which is really an industry sector that hasn't had any technological sort of evolution in the last 10 years. And we've sort of pioneered our way in finding a solution that would address a real problem.
Okay, so it's not just the medical device, but it's also a med tech platform as well.
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, we really saw that was the way, even in a pre-COVID environment, we saw that the testing in terms of how to digitalize the data and how that data was going to be used by organizations and governments was going to become, quite important. Yeah. Now in a post-COVID environment, it's even more so. So, yeah.
Yeah. So how has the pandemic affected the business?
Interesting enough, I think that we've had to shift away from focusing on just governments because, most of the government, COVID-19 testing is been the focus, right? And now it's been the vaccine rollouts, which has taken, predominant, focus. So really where we've had to sort of shift our focus is now going to more private industry. So we've recently signed an agreement with an Australian company that is embedded in the mining industry in Australia. So in terms of private industry, we see that is pretty much a focus for us. But then it will go full circle. And I think, post-COVID-19 and in a new sort of environment that, will be, different for everyone, I think there will be an awareness and understanding that testing is paramount. And I think, governments at that point will be very interested in our full solution.
Yeah. So what sort of that's a bit loud. Sorry. What sort of industries do you see would be the next sort of growth industries for what you're doing? I know there's government agencies and sport is a big one, but what's the next sort of industries do you see is a big?
We're providing our solutions to the oil and gas sector in Malaysia. So with the likes of Petronas, some larger oil and gas companies, and for them, health and safety is paramount. I think it's really important that in an environment where things can go wrong and lives can be lost, that's an industry sector that they need a solution that that not only offers a great performance, but also in terms of how that data is then used and tracked. So we do see, in terms of mining industry, in Indonesia, we're working with an industry body there, Argentina, which is very much focused on the university sector. So really identifying areas where there's been problems of and histories of drug abuse. And what we have sort of come in is really with a full solution, working with BNN and the Bureau of Narcotics in terms of a rollout in Indonesia. Again, with COVID-19, its universities are shut down at the moment. So in terms of that rollout, will happen probably, I would say, Q2 of next year as things sort of settle down. But yeah, definitely private industry. Sports is definitely obviously another industry. Prisons, military, is another focus. But drug testing, especially in the US, is very much in pre-employment basis. Yep. So it's mandatory for a lot of companies to conduct drug testing. And even with the legalization of cannabis, I think it's still even more important in some industry sectors that though the shift might be away from testing THC in cannabis, there's still massive problems in opioid and methamphetamine addiction.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about the milestones you've achieved with the business so far.
Well, when we came, I suppose, part of this, we came involved in this company in 2017, and really what we wanted to establish was a global footprint. So very much our focus was to ensure that we had the technologies patented. So it's US patented throughout Europe, Malaysia, Australia, Indonesia. And really, while we established that global footprint, it was then really focused on, some of the entry points. So we ended up getting our MDA certification in Malaysia. So the product is ready to go, and we've commercialized it in Malaysia at the moment, and also Indonesia. Part of our, I suppose, business model is to identify, really industry-leading distributors. So we appointed MD Solutions in Australia with a 5-year exclusive agreement. They've also assisted us with the TGA approval, so that's pending at the moment, and we expect that to complete shortly. But part of that agreement was that they also funded that the regulatory approvals. So part of our business model is to really identify distributors that have already got an established footprint, but also we can penetrate. And I suppose most recently we're working with the German group at the moment. They're working with the World Health Organization, and where we see the future of TamperLoks and sort of Data Vault is not just in the drug testing sector, but also taking it beyond drug testing, and also adapting it to COVID-19 testing, vaccines, HIV testing, dengue fever, because there is a real issue at the moment in the world that a lot of testing is taking place, but there's no real-time recording of these test results. Yeah. So really what our platform can do is identify these hotspots in real time. And with the World Health Organization, they do 500 million tests a year. And at the moment, most of these results are manually recorded, which is surprising, and then fed back. So where we see the sort of strategic alliances that we can build with these relationships in Europe is really, take these forward with people that have already got established networks with our sort of go-to-market strategy.
Okay. So on the commercialization aspect of it, and I know that you said the future growth plans are in different industries and sectors, but how do you target your vendors, your merchants, your distributors, people like that? And what sort of partnerships are you looking for? You may not have them in the pipeline, but what are you looking for in the future? And how can people who are watching this video potentially help you connect to those people?
Yeah, very good question. I think for us at the moment, our focus, though we've signed our agreement in Australia, and Australasia is definitely a massive sort of go-to-market strategy, and really identifying a distributor that already has those networks and those relationships in place. I think in terms of other locations around the world, and Europe's a great example. the German group that we're dealing with, we look like we're going to go to a letter of intent this week, is really much sort of focused on, we're still in negotiation whether we license the technology to them or we have a strategic partnership where, we work together collaboratively and I suppose bespoke our system to the needs of their clients. And that's what it all comes down to at the end of the day, is that I think we've got a very, very powerful solution that, is scalable, that can do millions and millions of tests, every few minutes, to be able to roll this out globally. So really strategic partners that have those relationships. We've looked at some of the bigger boys, and I think, you look at, Abbott Diagnostics, there's some big players in the market that, have market share in this industry, and we're probably still too early for them at the moment. And I think part of our sort of go-to-market strategy is to embed ourselves with, people that are hungry on the ground, that are looking at taking this disruptive solution and taking it forward. But I have no doubt there will come a time that, we're definitely on the ear of some of these larger organizations that would either look at a trade sale with this company or buy us out.
Yeah. Okay. So in touching on the competitors, it is a very, globally, it's a competitive space, this medical device med tech industry. So how are you different from the competitors, and how will you grow? And you mentioned the trade sale. Is your plan to get to a size where then you do get acquired by one of these larger competitors?
That's definitely one strategy that could play out. The other strategy is that we're looking at also IPO, and I think the IPO path is our first strategy. Yep. I think if we get bought out, I think some of our investors might be a little bit taken back, because I think they see the opportunity. This is a global solution. Yep. In answer to your question regarding are there any other competitors, interesting enough, this industry is highly fragmented, and there's actually no complete solution for Tamper Lock, a full drug testing solution. So currently, even the larger big boys, they've got a solid product, but they don't have an ERP solution that backs this up. A lot of the testing that's taking place, they're still manually recording results. Wow. Which is still quite surprising. So while there are some industry sectors that have digitalized in drugs of abuse, they haven't. And I think where the future, where this will go is that, you look at, we're talking vaccine passports, in terms of where industry is now starting to have to adapt to this, post-COVID-19 environment. But we sort of see, in terms of drug, like a drug-free certificate. So what it will mean is that, for employers, they can on their smartphone show that they got a certificate that they tested, negative. They've got a drug-free certificate, which will enable contractors and employees just to go onto site freely, and it will save a lot of time for organizations, and really time is money. So really, I think in terms of our focus is not just on our TamperLoks cup, which is, very impressive, only three chamber cup in the market, but having an industry leading design is not enough. I think the whole, drug testing platform is what is required to really disrupt the industry, and that's what we've got.
So with your solution, you can effectively then partner with large scale, construction companies who, require, drug testing, and then be part of their compliance protocol. So, your potential partnerships could be with your, multinational construction and infrastructure companies who are doing, big scale projects or mining and resources. And then, it can come down to just having, almost like in Australia, we have a white card certificate to say that you're allowed on the job site. It could be, a next factor for that, which is quite interesting. Okay. Yeah. So now tell us about how much you're raising and what's the momentum of the raise.
Yeah, so we're raising $850,000 at the moment. We're currently, I think, the two organizations are like sort of fourth stage where they're looking to take the whole lot. And I think for us, we're looking for a strategic partner, and it's not just about raising money here and there. We're looking for, groups that really see this solution on a global scale and how it can really make a significant impact. And really looking for companies to to really strategically partner us, whether that's we take it through to IPO. So, though this is an 850 raise, we will do a pre-IPO raise and look to IPO. So, it is a good opportunity for, even some of the larger brokers to consider us at the moment, or venture capital firms that can see the future of our global disruptive solution and really support us through that stage. So, again, for us, it's not necessarily just finding the money, it's finding the right type of money that can take us.
Okay, perfect. And is there anything else that you think might be worthy for any of the viewers of this video to know about, Neo Pharma or TamperLoks or the future of the company? Anything that you wanted to add?
I just think in terms of, organizations and private sector, as part of their health and safety and their compliance, this is obviously, a very valuable solution, which will save them time and money. But I think also the public perception around drug testing as well, I think you've got to look at that, less than, sort of 5% ever test positive for a drug test result. And I think what our solution does offer, for the wider public that are also viewing this as well, is to understand and appreciate that, if you've been good and you haven't been, you're drug free, so to speak, you want to ensure that these test results are, accurate and they can't be tampered with. Because there's a flip side to the coin. There's one thing protecting the organization, but there's also protecting the contractor, the employee, from any potential misdoings. And surprisingly enough, Daniel, around the world, this happens a lot where, that chain of custody, there's a dispute where someone will take a drug test and then, the officer might, tamper with it for whatever reason, for exploitation, and it happens. So I think for the wider public is to understand that, for health and safety, this is very important, but also, the public that want to get a drug test should be getting a Tamper Lock starter vault solution, because it, in many ways, this protects them as well.
Awesome. Well, that is a very insightful, insight into the world of drug testing and supply chain management for that process and protocol. It's certainly, as you're discussing it, there's so many other industries that this can merge into and adapt into. So it is a very interesting opportunity in space. I'm keen to know more myself. I'm going to do a bit of research, but just from this conversation, off the top of my head, there's a few other people and investors that come to mind when you speak of this, because they have business interests aligned in some of the verticals that we mentioned. So it does start more conversations and start more, well, this could what ifs, that what if conversation, and can be applied to many more. So thank you, Shaun, for jumping on this call, and I'll put all the details on how to reach out to Shaun and find out more about Neo Pharma and TamperLoks, as well as a link to your material that we have. And if there's any questions, please hit up my reach out to my team, and we can make an introduction to Shaun. But I want to say thanks for jumping on, and it's been great chatting.
Yeah, great having a chat with you, mate.
Yeah, thanks. No problem. Enjoy lockdown, and hopefully you'll be out shortly.
I'll have to say the same for you as well, mate, because I think you're going same issue in Sydney. So
we've got the same issue, and there's no end in sight at the moment. So we're both experiencing it together.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Bye-bye.